TerpHouse in this motherfucker.
Hello.
Happy Wednesday afternoon. I believe it is April 7th.
What?
2017.
Yo.
The motherfucker's moving forward.
Oh no, it's April 5th, ain't it? Yeah, it's April 5th. I'm thinking till Friday, bro.
Into the future.
I'm trying to get till Friday.
Do you know what fucking day it is in your life right now?
I do not. I just know that it is
420
Cannabis Couch
somewhere.
Day. I do know that it is Cannabis Couch Day.
Wednesday, hump day. For us, it is the day of the Cannabis Couch from 4 to 6 every single Monday, Wednesday, and
Pacific
Friday.
Standard Time. That is in the West Coast, California.
Yes.
So today we've got your host, Carl, your co-host, Carl.
Hello.
Your co-host, Carl.
Hello.
Your co-host, Frank.
G'day.
And your co-host, Shay. And your co-host and engineer, Mike.
Am I not a Carl?
Everybody's a Carl.
Okay, everybody's a Carl. We got Carl on the
Thanks
mics.
for chiming in, Carl.
Thank you.
So today we have a nice topic for everybody. It's going to be cannabis conservatism.
Yes. Cannabis conservatism.
Does somebody want to actually look up the definition? You had me look up the definition and I didn't do it. And I would love to see what exactly it actually does mean before we start speaking about it.
Well, you know what? Let's while we're doing some fact checking and checking definitions here, from my understanding and what I've recently learned about it, cannabis conservatism is essentially the process of trying to grow the dankest dank that you can with using the least amount of resources or cost or money.
We call that old school.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
basically trying to get the most premium product. So you're trying to buy diamonds for ruby prices, basically, right?
Basically, I mean, it's, like Shay said, some of us call it old school, but there's this whole generation of growers now that are they're one of two types. They're either spending thousands and thousands of dollars on trying to facilitate good cannabis, or they're doing it the most efficient way possible with the least amount of cost.
But what is efficient if you're wasting money? Because
that's not very efficient.
Right. But people are going to say it's efficient. Well, I'll just cut this corner and I'll try it again next time.
No, see, that's the thing is it's not necessarily. Yeah, it's about the balance. It's not necessarily about cutting corners, so to speak, but more so about coming out with a better end product and finding a different path to get there that maybe doesn't cost as much money.
Well, it's keep it simple, stoner. KISS at the end of the day. Keep it simple,
simple, stoner.
The less shit you put in the plant, the less shit you have to get out of the plant at the end of the cycle.
Right.
That's true.
But the less shit you put in the plant, the less effective the plant's going to be.
Not always.
In
Not
people's
always.
minds.
Genetics are genetics.
In people's minds.
I have grown strains that I've only given water, and they've come out perfect.
Right, but this is the thing. A lot of people are going out right now, because I'm one of them. I put a bunch of money into a grow. I had no idea how to grow pot, marijuana, whatever you want to call
money
it.
around?
Yeah, right?
Oh.
I had no idea what was going on with it, so I didn't even invest any time into it and lost about, $45,000.
Oh.
Give or take, yeah.
Yeah, give or take. And that was the first time. And then we've continued to do this over and over again at smaller scales. And I've come to the conclusion that you can either grow 3 or 4 plants, or you can grow 300 or 400 plants.
Right. So there's no
in between.
There's no 30 or 40 is what you're saying.
Right, because you take $10,000 for a grow, which you buy a tent, you buy all the minerals and shit and all the nutrients. You're probably going to be about $10,000, or you can put about 15 to 20 plants on.
Yeah.
It's going to take, after you pay all your power supplies and all your overhead, it's going to take you about 3 harvests to break even.
Oh, at least, yeah.
If you lose one crop, you're crippled.
This
yeah,
is
it's
true.
extremely
You're
dangerous.
done.
Yeah.
Well,
So
you're not crippled, but I mean, you
you're
have some
crippled.
recovering to fucking do.
No, if you only have $10,000,
improvision comes
there's no
in.
improvision. There's no
Ingenuity.
improvision with no money. If you have $10,000 and you blow all $10,000 under that grow, and then you get the one harvest and you barely make any of your money back, you got just enough money to restart your other grow, and then you lose that crop, you're fucked.
Well,
Not everybody can do this.
Well, if you're putting all your eggs in one basket, you deserve that shit. I've been in this business since I was 14 years old, and I've lost my ass plenty of times. But all my eggs have never been in one basket.
Right, but that's what a lot of people are doing nowadays. Is they're like, well, I just want to grow, so I'm just going to throw everything into here, and if it doesn't work, I'm just going to retry it.
It's totally.
And you can't do that at a minimum level. You have to go buy 3 plants, bring those up, clone those, start selling your clones, get your money back in your business from your clones, and then start buying the equipment that you need and the place that you need. You can't go in and get a warehouse, 1,800 square foot, 2,000 square foot, spend $10,000 in all this equipment and shit, and then go, something happens to your plants and they go belly up, and then you're going to go, okay, well, now I need to get all new plants. Let's say you get PM, powdery mildew. Now not only do you have to clean all of your not only do you have to throw all of your plants,
that name.
well, not only do you have to throw all of your plants away, now you have to clean all of your shit. Maybe throw shit away.
Oh, it's $200 in cleaning supplies. Right
And
there.
hope that you don't have it again. And if somebody hears, oh, they had powdery mildew, and you tell them, well, I didn't. I still have all my same equipment. Nobody's buying from you regardless. You could have bombed that motherfucker, hit it with bleach, whatever.
Well, and I think your point is that you're looking at this because correct me if I'm wrong, but you've never really spent a whole lot of time growing cannabis.
No, because it takes an intricate touch and it takes money. It takes
Right.
money and time.
Right. So
and if
you're
you have
looking-
time, then you obviously don't have money.
But
because
that's my point.
You know
You're
what I mean?
looking at this from an investor standpoint. You're looking at this from a business standpoint, which I think the whole world agrees right now needs to be done with the cannabis industry.
Yes.
It needs to be looked at as a business. But there's a lot of guys out there that are just trying to grow a couple plants in their closet, man, and just
Right, and then they're fucking the game up because what they're doing is they're trying to grow a couple plants in their closet. They're needing more money for supplies. So then they're fucking blowing down BHO and trying to sell it as premium shit, poisoning people, lying to people.
That's your opinion.
That's not my opinion. That's fucking
truth.
fact.
That's truth.
You've got Ma and Pa Kettle down here in the trailer trying to grow up 4 or 5 plants so they can blow it down to BHO so they can get 16 plants, blow it down to BHO to get 32 plants. That's how economics works in the poor world. You're taking $2 to make 4, 4 to make 6, 6 to make 12, blah 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 blah.
Well, yeah, I mean, but here's the deal, though, man, and we were talking about this earlier today off air. But some of us just want to grow cannabis to smoke for ourselves.
Right, and that's fine.
Not everybody's trying to make a business out of it.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
Some people are, and I respect those that do.
How many plants do you need to grow for a single family use? Maybe what?
50.
For a single family use, 50 fucking plants.
Dude, you know how much fucking weed I smoke?
I mean,
Well,
reasonably, if we're being serious about this, and I'm not talking about edibles. I'm talking about people growing weed to smoke. I don't like to call it weed or pot, but marijuana to smoke for their individual consumption, not to bag up and sell or to cook off or to blow down. How many plants do you think they need per cycle?
Per cycle?
Yeah.
So you're talking like what, 3 or 4 harvests a year?
Yeah. How many plants do you need to grow at one time?
I mean, if you do it right, are you talking outdoor, indoor?
God damn it! I'm just saying, in a basic fucking common sense, how many fucking plants does one family need?
There's a lot of variables.
If you get, never mind. Fuck it.
Your canopy,
Fuck it.
You know what
I mean? You guys don't see what I'm saying. If a family doesn't need 30 fucking plants. They need 4 or 5 fucking plants. Is what I was trying to get to, but evidently I'm wading in a full fucking pool of ignorance.
No.
So you have 4 or
it's
5
not
plants per family. That's what a common person needs. Right. Okay. So that's fine. That's not the person I'm talking about. I'm talking about Tom, Dick, and Harry over here that put about 10 grand together and say, let's fucking start to grow and take over the cannabis industry, man. And then they get fucked, and now they're standing around going, man, it is hard, ain't it?
That's
you know
lottery
what I mean?
mentality, though. That's totally lottery mentality. Everyone's putting all their resources into a grow.
Well, I think that's what he's saying is that
That's
there's a
exact-
lottery mentality.
That's exactly what I'm saying. There's not enough education in this industry for people to like. People just like, well, Carl says this all the time. It's just a plant, you know. He hears it all the time. Well, it's just a plant, man.
It's an herb.
Yeah, it's
And
definitely
the people
more
that are
than just
in
a plant.
the people that are in depth know that it's not just a plant.
But Carl says that in a joking way because
No, I know that. But what I'm
that's
saying
the
is because he hears
preconceived
this.
notion. You know what I mean?
But because he hears this, but he knows what it takes to grow. He knows what it takes to nurture plants. Not a lot of people do. So then you have a lot of these ignorant people be like, yeah, man, I fucking grew like 40 fucking plants in my backyard last month. It's easy. So then you've got 3 other people that are like, okay, well, I'm going to try that as well. So they go into their backyard and they try 40 fucking plants and it totally kiboshes. And they come to find out Johnny over there grew 3 plants in his fucking closet and ate like 4 or 5 ounces of cannabis from it. So they're not researching it.
Right.
We didn't research whenever whenever I started mine. I didn't research anything. I just believe what I heard. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
And it's a lot different than just putting a plant, a seed in the ground and hoping that it sprouts up.
Well, that's the thing, man. There are huge misconceptions. There are huge preconceived notions. Everybody thinks that if you can grow your own cannabis, you are the man. You're making so much money.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Hand over fist. I mean,
10 years ago, yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe 10 years ago, man. Maybe even 20 years ago. But I'm sorry. It's just not. It has become a business.
But this
it has to be treated like one. Any grow has to be treated like a business. You got to count pennies, or you're not going to be successful. That's just my opinion.
Well, and here's the thing too is why. How did it become so difficult to grow marijuana when it was found naturally in its natural habitat? How did we fuck it up so bad?
I think it's the breeding. Honestly, I think it's people pushing it too far and,
Right.
and wanting to take these limits and push these limits.
Right.
And
They're
they're going to push
manufacturing
it
it.
too far to the point where it's
Well, they're getting there now with the
it's no
concentrates.
longer going to be any
You know
good
what?
for
But
it.
I think that totally goes with the theme of the show, and I know Carl's been learning about this a lot. I've been recently learning about this through Carl, kind of vicariously in his struggles. But the way that it got fucked up was by trying to replicate the natural process and do it in a man-made way, do it indoors, and do it with these HPS lights and all this stuff. You don't need HPS lights. If you
Well,
live
explain
in
what
Southern-
HPS lights are for the people that don't understand.
high pressure sodium, they put off a bunch of heat. Carl could give you way more info than I can about this subject.
Well-
but-
Bullshit.
Well, Carl, why is heat bad for a plant?
Well, a lot of reasons. The first reason being you want to mitigate as much stress in the grow room as possible.
boom, there it is. Stress.
Yeah, and with HPS, the devil. I mean, it's like hell.
Hell
you know,
in their
coming from the sun.
sky,
Yeah,
you know?
man. I have nothing good to say about HPSs just because.
Well, and
they've
didn't you
just-
tell me, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you were reading that the reason they even created HPS lights was because they were growing somewhere cold, right? Where they're
Yeah. Well, Gavita. I've heard
Gavitas?
that actually from another talk show.
Okay.
The Adam Dunn show. They were going a little bit more in depth, but the HPSs was more for the canopy space.
Right.
It wasn't really set up for indoor grows and stuff, unless you were doing it on a big level, like a commercial garden.
right.
You know what I mean? Where you need that supplemental light and maybe heat, depending on where you are in the country.
Right. Yeah. Depending on where you are, and you got guys out here in Southern California. It's 100 degrees flat half the year out here. I mean, it's
Right,
It's
yeah.
scalding hot sometimes in the middle of summer, and you got guys at the hydroponic stores here and there. You got different advice floating around online that's telling you that you have to have an HPS 1000 to flower your plants.
Right. And most of the hydroponic stores, I know here in SoCal, they're carrying HPSs. They're carrying the CFLs. They're carrying all that stuff, and they're not carrying, what I'm actually starting to learn more about is the LEDs.
LEDs, right?
Well, I
And-
think there's a big reason for that, and it comes down to, like you said before, it's economics.
Yeah, it's the
LEDs
overall
are
cost.
$2,000 a piece for a
Right,
good
right.
grow light, where you can go get a high pressure sodium 1,000 watt for
400,
Like 400
450
But
bucks.
here's
You
a-
can get
yeah.
$150 online.
But here's a question. I always hear growers and
But-
connoisseurs always say you got to keep it simple. Then how did it go from being all natural to all these high pressure lights and all this crazy shit?
Well, that's
why
what
not
I'm
just
saying.
why not?
The
It
natural-
became mainstream.
Well, yeah, but why not just go to where it grows and grow it there, commercialize it there instead of going to fucking.
I wish the legislation.
That's true.
It's tricky, man. There's so much shit going on with the laws, man.
Well, part
But
of it is
economics,
because
back to I'm sorry to interrupt,
No,
but
go-
like the LEDs and stuff and the HPSs. Like, here's the deal: when you're throwing an HPS in a garden, you're combating a lot of things here, and you're fucking just throwing so much energy at something when it doesn't need it. It truly, honestly doesn't need it. If you can get the climates, depending on what cycle or what part of the plant's life that you're in, you know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
But for example, say you're running 1,000 watt lights, okay, and your humidity starts to rise. What do? You're going to get powdery mildew if you don't get a dehumidifier, right?
Right.
Okay, so you got to plug up a dehumidifier. That's pumping more juice.
Right.
Okay, and then say with HPSs and running them full blast, dimmable ballast that comes with different products, but we like to run them full blast, and the climate.
Because the misconception is more light, more buds, right?
Right. So, and that being said, the climates go up to 95 degrees, stress out the plants. They're dehydrated. They're not uptaking the nutrients, and then you're not yielding enough. You know what I mean? So it all comes back.
And you're left in the end with shitty product.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And nature can do a better job sometimes. And at the end of the day, I mean, I think that's the essence of cannabis conservatism is that, nature can.
Right. And
nature can
you
take
said
care
that the
of it,
LEDs are so
like you said.
expensive, and that's the thing. You got to weigh that balance. Is it worth it to have to throw so much juice to the AC unit, to throw to the dehumidifier? Are you going to actually see that overall yield in the overall product? You know what I mean?
Well, at that time, it becomes like Carl said. It becomes it's a business. You're pinching pennies at that point, and it's a long-term investment. And a long-term investment, LEDs are better. They're just flat out. They're better.
Here's a question I got: is
if you can afford the upfront cost,
what would possess somebody to want to grow 20 or 30 plants with the just for themselves, just for I'm just going to try to grow this because this is my passion, when they know that they're running the risk of losing their everything that they work for? What would possess somebody to do that?
Because I love this plant.
You love that plant enough to be homeless?
Yeah, I was in this business when it was a black market, way before it became legal, before any of this. So
but no matter about the black market. Like if you have everything that you have, like that's the issue that I'm seeing right now with why we're not how we need to be in business as cannabis. We're not like we are in Colorado. Or we're not like they are in Colorado, because people are taking this like, well, I'll do anything just for this plant. And it sounds moronic. I'm not saying that you're a moron or your ideas are moronic. I'm saying that the concept of it to the normal person would seem moronic. Like, well, I'd rather be homeless and grow marijuana than have a normal job and not grow marijuana.
But
I don't want to go buy it.
We see it as a business. We see it as a passion, as a lifestyle.
But what I'm saying is the homelessness is a lifestyle. So you guys, like, most people are choosing to put themselves in homelessness when our country is overran by homelessness. That's like these fucking trans disabled people that fucking cut their legs off and shit because they want to know what it's like to not have legs. You know what I mean? If we take that stigma off of people and you say, look, I've got a job. I'm a doctor, but I like to grow marijuana. If you like to grow marijuana and you're not making money at it, don't risk everything that you have because you love the plant. You love the plant? Plant 4 or 5 at your house. Go to your fucking job.
Yeah.
Go to your job. Get the money so you can actually grow. Because if you love that plant so much, you wouldn't risk your whole livelihood to grow it. Well, you would make sure that you get everything you can. That's like saying, I love my wife so much, I ain't going to work because I want to be with her.
Well, that's what
you know what I mean?
Well, in order to keep your electricity on and stuff, and your bedroom, you got to have your
you got to pay the bills,
job.
man.
That's understandable.
You know what I mean? So
especially as an indoor grower.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's where I get it from, is that the mindset or the way that I'll say stoners or growers articulate seems dumbed down to the rest of society that doesn't understand the cannabis industry. Like if you don't understand, if you understand the cannabis industry, then you'd be like, yeah, man, I feel you, bro. Like I'm there too, Right. But if you're not, you're like, well, that guy's a fucking idiot. And then that's why the stigma is there. So it's not that we have to change how we feel about the plant. It's how we articulate it and how we let people view it. If you love this plant so much, you're going to have to adapt and overcome the situations that are in society for them to accept the plant. If you love it, it doesn't mean that I'm just gonna say fuck it and do whatever I have to do to grow this thing. I'll be homeless. It's I'm gonna go to work. I'm gonna educate myself, educate others, so others can enjoy this plant as much as I do because I love it so much.
Well,
does that make sense?
That's what I want to say, though.
Absolutely.
I mean, there are guys out there that are growing 30 or 40 plants that aren't breaking the bank doing it. That
Because
are
they have
being
experience.
conservative
Yeah.
about the way they're doing it.
Yeah, they're starting small,
No
working their way up.
But
Yeah.
I guarantee you 75% of those ones that are growing the 30 or 40 plants are the ones that are blowing the shit down at butane and BHO and all this poison
I don't
shit.
know, man.
I
Some
have
of
to
those
disagree,
guys,
man.
Some of those
'Cause
guys
that-
are some of the best growers that you know. I mean, some of those guys are.
Yeah, I didn't say all. I
They've been
said
doing it for
I
20,
said
30
there's
years.
75%.
They
You
got
can't tell me that the 75% are great growers and don't do anything wrong. It's more
Oh,
like
no,
25%. That's what I'm saying.
It's a whole Pandora
You guys know
box of
25% of, you know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. If we If we can take that away,
Smoke weed every day.
we can do that.
It's
We don't have to worry about it.
Shit. Who
So
gives
right
a
now it
fuck
is-
what you were just saying. Let's smoke some weed.
It is now 4:20 on the West Coast. It is now 7:20 on the East Coast. So you
And it's
get a
somewhere in
double
the middle in
420.
between.
So you guys get a double 420. Well, we only get one. So reward yourselves. Take a couple
Cheers.
tokes.
It's 420
Happy
somewhere.
It is 420. And actually, in 15 days, it'll really be 420.
Yes, we're gonna have 420
420.
on 420 here on the Cannabis Couch.
Actually, no, I don't think we
It's
have.
still
a
up in the air what we're gonna
Isn't
do,
the
but it's
20th?
gonna- just
Isn't the
stay
20th on a Thursday?
I think
why
so.
can't we have a show?
I believe it is on Thursday. The Cannabis Couch doesn't air on Thursdays. However, I'm sure we'll have a day early celebration for 420.
We can
we're
do
going to have to.
Our stoner asses are gonna do something.
It's
We can
got
do
to be
something.
done, yeah.
But to get back onto the topic of that, though, is just if people would take more of an educated approach, I think it would be accepted more.
Absolutely, and like you were saying, that people that weren't making money with just 20 or 30 plants, right? Is that what you're
Right.
saying? Well, here's the deal: you got master growers, or just maybe amateurs that have done their homework, and they don't necessarily have a bunch of money or investor to have that opportunity to go out and throw a nice garden out there. So they've maybe do an outdoor garden seasonal,
Right.
and they're using native soil wherever they're at, depending on where you're at in the country. Back in the Midwest, it's amazing soil for shit like that. So and it's there's no out of pocket costs. You don't have to pay for
No.
nutrients and shit. So
Yeah.
it's
It's being done in places. I know a guy up north that actually grows using dog food.
yeah.
That's interesting.
I mean, that's his.
Yeah,
That's his
he
line of
grinds it up.
nutrients.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's figured out, he's calculated his nutrient profile that apparently coincides with certain types of dog food that they sell at his feed mill, which is close to his house. I mean, we're talking, it's a rural area, and he grows in big giant bathtubs that they pull out of old houses and shit.
So is there any way we can get a hold of some of this weed to try it? Because
Wait,
I'm gonna tell
interested
you-
in trying it now.
Hey man, I'm gonna tell you firsthand, it's some of the most amazing shit I've ever smoked in my
and
life.
exotic at that. For outdoor.
Exotic. I'll give you exotic.
Yeah,
It
well,
is
just
exotic.
the purple
The
stuff over
strange.
there.
But
exotic.
here's something else though. That this is something that somebody's not doing, and you can't tell me that they're doing this. They're not taking that organic or whatever they're using, weed that you guys call it, and getting it tested for any of the pesticides or anything like that.
The stuff that I smoked was not tested.
Right. Yeah.
So we don't know if the high that you're feeling or the great stuff that you're feeling is from mineral poisonings.
No, but
you know what I
did get
mean?
a chance to walk around that grow, right, and kind of see
Yeah,
their
I mean,
day
I
and day
got the
life.
chance to check out his garden. Let me tell you, it was an amazing thing to see. When I walk into this place, he's got this big gate that swings open, so the gate swings open, and he's like, "Oh, welcome to my garden." I'm walking through there, and I see these giant bathtubs everywhere. And at the time that I was there, they had just harvested or whatever, probably a couple months beforehand or whatever. So I'm just seeing these giant fucking root balls and stalks just still in these bathtubs. And when I started asking him about stuff, he was like, "Yeah, I use dog food. It's some of the best nutrient line that I can use."
But
out here."
Lambo brings up a good point. And what is it leaving in the plant? You know what I mean? Because a lot of the stuff that my buddies run Elite 91 nutrients, and they know what there leaves in the plant. They know that you can leach all of it back out of the plant again. Are
Right.
you going to be able
True.
to take all of that dog food back out of the plant again?
Because that
I would
dog
love to
food
have
has
some of that stuff to take
processed
it as
material in it
soil.
as well.
Right. Well, and correct me if I'm wrong. Somebody out there, if you want to call in,
Yeah. 909-360-8330. Correct us if we're wrong. Call
yeah,
us.
but I feel as if the uptake on the nutrients is different. So therefore, the testing might be different.
Well, no, I mean, you're going to test what's in the plant, and it's going to be the same
Well,
as
buffer
anything
out all
else.
those bad stuff is what I'm saying. The
Well, what
soil
I-
kind of has a blessing in disguise there, where it kind of screens out some of that.
Right.
What I'm saying is we need more testing. We need people to start testing their things so we know what's working and what's not. Just because something feels like it gets you high doesn't mean that it's actually working, because
True.
again, that's the misconception that we're trying to erase. Is cannabis is not here just to get you fucked up or get you high or get you faded. There's medicinal purposes for it, and that's what we need the public to understand. Public is hard. It's hard when you keep saying, "Man, I'm so high," because that's what heroin addicts say. That's what crack
Yeah.
addicts say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I like the term medicated and shit like that. You know what I mean?
Me too,
It
yeah.
does sound out of place because nobody says it out here.
Well, yeah, it needs to. That's. I mean, how many times have you guys heard me correct somebody, in our group or somebody like, man, this weed's fucking bomb? I'll be like, you said
depends on the
cannabis
group,
wrong.
yeah.
Yeah.
You said cannabis wrong. Like if you keep calling it weed,
It's
people
gonna
are
have
just
that
going to keep
stigmatized,
stigmatizing.
Everything
it.
everything is going to come down to how people personify something, and if people are just going to keep going back to the fucking what was it dazed, what was that,
Dazed and confused.
Dazed and Confused, they're going to keep
Yeah.
going to that genre, then it's going to keep getting a stigma on it. We have to erase the stigma. We have to get people educated, and the more education that we have, the more rally we can get behind and say, well, look, you're wrong, Mr. Senator, or whatever, because that's the people we got to fight. We didn't got to fight Big Pharma.
And the less stigmatized it comes, I feel as if more and more and more of these, higher scale people are going to come out of the woodworks. Like, yeah,
Oh, they're
I might
definitely
toke a little
jumping
bit
on the
up at
bandwagon,
night,
man.
so-
They're jumping on the bandwagon
yeah.
for sure.
They're investing. I know that.
Oh yeah, all day long.
Exactly,
Even with
yeah.
Big Pharma producing that medical cannabis, I mean, even if people just demand testing all around, it can avoid a lot of the issues that we're running into with people overdosing, having hot batches, and I mean, you can't do that with fucking cocaine and heroin and shit. You know what I mean? But you get these people that are doing like the BHO dabs and shit, and they're overdosing on fucking butane and getting their stomachs eaten up and their lungs exploding and shit, from all these additives. And they're additives because people don't understand how harmful they are to you. People are smoking these vape pens with this MCT shit in it, and they're like, well, no, bro, MCT is good for you. Yeah, ingestible MCT, when you drink it down, it's great for your body. But when you're inhaling a carcinogenic smoke from it, that's not real healthy.
Well,
It's like sucking on a gas pipe. I'm like, oh no, it's good, bro. It's good. Because that's exactly what you're doing. You're grabbing carbon and methane and shit and sucking it down into your body and trying to say it's okay, and that's not right.
I would agree. But here's the thing, man. Going back to, I've got a pretty good nose. I got a pretty good taster. My taste buds are pretty good. I've been smoking cannabis for a really long time. Probably longer than I care to say. But,
Come on, how long?
Fuck off. But here's the deal. Here's the deal, man. When I smoked this guy's stuff, and like I said, his nutrient profile, his nutrient line is Purina Puppy Chow and shit.
Kibble OG.
Kibbles and bits. I mean, and when I smoke this guy's stuff, it's not harsh to me.
But break that down.
Do you know
was
what
it
brand?
Nitrogen?
What
or
brand was he using?
I have no idea.
That's the thing.
You don't know what brand?
What's the
I have
NPK?
no idea.
You know what I mean? What's the profile it gives it? Because it might be something extremely
This guy
simple
is
and
like
organic.
he's
at that,
like some mad backwoods scientist, man, and he
got
does
stoned.
his thing.
He got stoned, and he's like, "Let's see what if I put dog food
My
in here."
dog seems to be getting fatter. Let's see if my bud gets fatter.
That is a total stoner move, though.
Yeah,
Come on, who the
yeah.
fuck's gonna think about putting dog food in
but
your
I'm
shit?
telling you, man, if you saw his girls, you would be
it
like,
works, man.
he's doing something right.
I
If it
doubt
ain't
it.
broke, don't fix it.
Well, that's what I'm trying to fucking tell you. Okay, so let's see.
Oh, we're doing.
So there. Okay, well, here's what's in fucking dog food: propylene glycol, rendered fat, food dyes, blue 2, red 40. So if you're allergic to red 40, you don't want to smoke that guy's marijuana because you will go have a fucking rash. Yellow 5 and 6, 4-ME, or however you say that word.
Hey, that's where your rash came from, Carl.
Well, hey,
Corn,
and this is
and it's full of gluten.
this is what's beautiful though about the cannabis industry, and now we have
Yeah.
Google at our fingertips. 5 years ago,
Fuck
10 years
yeah.
ago,
You didn't have that
when we
yeah.
were smoking this shit, we're like, oh, this is the shit. Dog food, do this.
Yeah,
All of this
You
is
smoke that, you go deaf.
all this is saying is pet food ingredients have toxic minerals and neutral chemicals in it. There's dog food preservatives that are toxic to your pet. This
Oh,
guy's
yeah,
taking toxic
yeah.
shit and putting it in the soil, and you're like, yeah, shit's
But
fucking
like
fire.
what Carl brought up was a great point. He's saying, what if the soil buffers this, and now all of a sudden it's not being uptaken by that.
Or what if he's toxifying the soil by putting that shit down there and toxifying the plants and toxifying you?
That's a good question.
We don't know.
Exactly, because
We
we're
don't
not
have-
testing.
We don't have a
my
professional
point.
opinion on this.
Well,
Because we don't
So
have testing.
We should have basically more open doors for our
We
tests.
need to have open door testing. I believe that if there's some labs out there that are listening and you guys are willing to discount for actual clients, patients, I went in, I got this from such and such, I would like it tested. If dispensaries or companies would validate their testing and say, if you take my product, because TerpHouse does this, if you take my product to the lab and it says anything lower than what's on the label, I will pay for your testing and I'll give you a year's supply of my product for free.
You heard it, people.
Because
Boom.
no companies are doing this because they are testing their raw batches of their concentrates, posting those findings on their packages, and then diluting their oils and cutting them with carcinogenics and flavorings instead of natural terpenes like they're saying. I have not found one company that uses natural terpenes to flavor their oil.
Yeah.
I
And
have.
if you're not, go ahead.
Us. TerpHouse,
Right, yeah,
that's it.
yeah.
There's one.
And if there's another one, please
Come out of the woodwork.
Yeah,
Let
if
us
you guys
know.
are using
step up.
natural terpenes, then you guys need. If your company or your favorite vape company is using natural terpenes, then they should have a terpene profile test on their testing results. Ask them for their testing results. Email your company that you're using and ask them for their testing results and see if they give them to you. I can guarantee you they're going to send you half a page. One's going to say not detected or not tested. That's going to be for the terpenes, the residual solvents, and your microbials. And all you're going to get is your potency profile and your cannabinoid.
CBD.
Oh, let's not forget
yeah.
they don't test for the pesticides either.
Microbials.
Yeah, the pesticides. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they will. The clear, I've noticed that every clear does because you can't get clear oil with pesticides in it from.
Well, not only that, but they
stores.
want the money for
Distillation,
it, so they need to
yeah,
show
yeah.
that it doesn't have it in there.
Right. So as long as it's clear, then they don't test it. But if it's not clear, they do not test for pesticides because they know that our oils that are in our disposable pens contain trace elements of pesticides because that's what's in the soil.
Right.
It's trace elements from the soil. So if you look at our trace elements and our PELs from OSHA, we're well below any levels. And people won't put that on their product because they don't want people to see, oh, they've got pesticides. Fuck that, because they can't explain it. They don't take the time to
Right.
research it and know where those pesticides come from.
Well, it goes back to the stereotype. They think cannabis users are dumb.
But they,
Like, we're not going to, we won't understand it, so don't even bother explaining
Right,
it.
yeah.
but they're,
Tell Kevin
See,
John-
it's fucking simple.
but they're right because nobody is asking for this. Everybody is assuming that everything on the package is what it is. And
No, there's a small community out there that's
Yeah.
kind of getting hit
yeah,
to this.
yeah, that's
like
what
us.
I'm saying. A small community, but in a majority, like we were doing this morning, majority. I generalize majorities. If it's lower than 10%, and it's 90%, then that's a majority. I don't need to generalize and say, well, except for this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy, and this guy. If it's a big majority, well, let's just generalize. Can we agree to do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we do that?
I don't want to get on this topic again. We covered that earlier
Awesome,
this
that's
morning.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving
Yeah.
So
on.
there is a small group of cannabis users or cannabis growers or connoisseurs that are intelligent and they are demanding this stuff, but a majority of them are not because they're uneducated, because they do not care, because they do not know that what they're putting in their body is toxic.
Well, because they're being lied to, and they think that the people running the companies are going to be honest.
Exactly.
But really, they care about their pockets, not about the patients.
Exactly.
You are fake news.
When you go into a dispensary in California, they will take you to the product that is going to make them the biggest bottom line.
That's true. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, we have this on sale right now. Check this out. $10 a gram. They're in it for $3. But their top shelf is $15, but they're in that for $10. So they're only going to make $5 a gram on that. Let's just go ahead and make $10 or $12 on this one. Smack them in the face real quick. Or it would be $7. So they're making $2 extra, and you're thinking that they're giving you the best medicine that you need. And they haven't asked you, what are you in here for? You having trouble sleeping? What ailment? What hurts you? Anything like that. And half the bud tenders don't even know what terpenes. Well, half of them don't even know what terpenes are, but they don't know what terpenes trigger what reactors to help you sedate or medicate yourself.
This is true.
You know what I mean?
I've talked to a couple bud tenders actually, and
man.
I've asked them, like, oh, that's pretty terpy. What do you think? What's
What's
up with
a
this stuff? What's up with
terpene?
that stuff? What do you mean terpy?
Oh, that look on their
Yeah,
face,
like,
that
what?
blank look on their face
Yeah.
is
It's-
priceless.
You're fired.
And then
Come on,
then
man.
you'll talk to dispensary owners, and they're like, "Oh yeah, no, I don't know much about it, bro. I just had a big grow, and then I just got into dispensary, man. It's just
I had
know."
100 grand, so I decided to open up a store, and I bought a bunch of weed, bro. Now I just make all kinds of money.
Right, and that's the
Right.
problem with it is everybody is out here, they have no clue what's going on, starting businesses, giving it a bad name. It's the same thing. I have a call center, and in my industry, it used to be awesome. It was fucking awesome when I first started, and now every Tom, Dick, and Harry thinks that they can do what I do, and they've opened up offices and call centers and doing all this other shit, and have ruined the industry because they don't know how to do it correctly. They do it shortcuttedly, start fucking over people, realize nobody's noticing, let's keep doing it, and then they spread the word.
And it ties in beautifully with the whole theme of the show, because here's the deal, man. Like we were talking about, a lot of people have jumped on the bandwagon. Everybody's on the bandwagon now, the cannabis bandwagon. Now that it's legal, now it's okay. Prop 64 passed, blah, 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 blah. Now they're jumping on the bandwagon. The thing is a lot of those same people are the people that think, that have these preconceived notions that cannabis is going to make them rich overnight.
Well, those I consider those guys the pussies of the industry, because they came in and they ruined it. When the threat of jail went away, they came into the industry. It's like,
Right.
well, dude, if you want to be a true forefront or trailblazer, you're not going to run away when, just because the threat of jail is there.
Right.
If you really want to take control
But
of
let
this
me tell you
industry,
this:
do it.
And
these same
passionate
people,
about it.
these are the same people that are keeping these hydroponic stores alive and
They're
well.
making
I mean,
a lot of money in those stores.
But-
right now.
oh my gosh!
But see, this is where we had this conversation before. Hydroponic stores would stay open longer if people would do things the right way, because they could actually grow.
Yep.
So instead of taking your $5,000 that you saved up from your McDonald's job, quitting your job, opening up a $5,000 grow, going in, buying all this shit from the hydroponic store, and then having to sell it on Craigslist for half your in it. Go ahead.
It's just like basically the human body, okay, and working out and, using pre-workouts and steroids and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? You put all that shit out on the market, you got C4 for pre-workout. There's
Right.
probably 30 different, products for pre-workouts.
Right. There's one vegetable you can eat. Like,
Yeah, when at the end of the day, the natural way is the best way, and guess what? It's the cheapest way.
Right.
Well,
And it goes back to him saying, how did it get so fucked up? How did it get so fucked up to where, you got all these different products, you got all this shit fucked? It's because we thought we knew best, and we don't. It turns out,
you need the bloom boosters. You need this.
Yeah, it turns out the sun is the best light that we have. Go figure.
Yeah, and I've noticed this too, is a lot of people are growing because they think if they grow, that means they can start another cannabis type of company, because they're seeing all these other companies, these
Good luck.
laboratories, having grows, and they're like, oh, that's how they started, bro, because everybody you talk to, well, I was just a grower, and then I just kind of fell into this, man. And everybody's got this preconceived notion like, oh, he just found, 4 or 5 plants, and then he's planted 30, and then he planted 100.
Luck.
And that's not how it is. If you are out there right now and you do not have a job or a business that pays your bills, and your bills are only paid by your paycheck every single month, you have no money in the bank, you do not need to be trying to open up a grow facility.
Oh, no, because there's just too many variables, man.
If you have a job and you have $10,000 in the bank, you do not have any business opening up a grow facility. What I mean by that is you need to start growing at your home inside of a closet or a bedroom, something that's controlled. Then, once you get some customers for your herb, reefer, pot, weed,
Boo.
whatever in the fuck it is you
Cannabis.
call it,
Ganja.
then you can start trying to move up and double your profit. What you do is you start with 2 plants. You make enough money to come back in with 4 plants. You make enough money to come back in with 8 plants.
Well, it brings up a good point too when you say that, because a lot of these guys and I think maybe at essence that's why you say don't either do 2 or do 200, don't do 20, is because when you're doing 2, if you take a loss, it's not that big of a loss, right? If you're doing 200 and you don't know what the fuck you're doing, now you've eaten the loss on 200 plants. Can you imagine the cost? And depending on your
I know how much like 47 plants cost. I know how much that costs.
Well, I mean, that's the thing.
It left a bitter taste in your mouth, but that honestly, that goes back to the grower. The grower didn't know what he was doing.
Right.
You know what I mean? He wasn't knowledgeable.
Right. There was no.
into that.
But that's exactly what I'm saying, is that 99% of growers, and not the 25,000 of them that or whatever, but 99% of growers are doing it fucked up because
yeah, man.
You know what I mean? They're not doing it the right way. They have no.
Look, I'm a classic
No,
example.
it's true. It really is
it's
true.
just
And they think
dumbfound-
they know everything. Too.
I'm a
That's the
classic
problem.
example, and we're running out of time. We got to go to a break here in just a moment. But I'm a classic example of a guy that spends $10,000 to grow 20 plants. Not all at once or whatever, but I grew a few plants, right? And I got a couple friends with racks, and they're patients of mine, so I grew a few for them too. And I'll never get my $10,000 back because you run into problems on your way, and when you do, you lose your harvest. And guess what?
Right, but here's
left with your dick in your hand.
But here's a problem. Here's the problem with your story. You have a business that pays your bills.
Right.
You're not, this is all I love to do. I just want to do this myself. I was just going to do this. Because when you're growing, you really can't have, if you have a garden, you can't have a job, honestly.
Well, more when we
So,
come back.
speaking of a job, I'm going to let the toilet do its job and drain the main vein. You guys take a break. We will be back in
Smoke
5 minutes to talk more on the Cannabis Couch.
Stay medicated, baby.
Yeah.
Okay. It is that time.
Yo.
Part 2 of the Cannabis Couch.
Hello.
Alrighty. Thank you guys for coming back. ChaoticRadio.com, the Chaotic Radio app. YouTube, Chaotic Radio. Make sure that you guys go in and subscribe to Chaotic Radio on YouTube. That way you guys get a live notification every time that we do stream live. You can check us out on the TerpHouse.com. You can check us out on the TerpHouse on all social media. Check us out on Facebook. We got a live stream. We also have a live stream on Instagram. I want to appreciate everybody for coming out here again today. We are talking about cannabis conservatism.
Yo, and a lot of people don't know what that is. Have you noticed that? It's similar to the political idea of conservatism. In other words, you don't spend a lot of money, kind of tight budget, but still making shit happen in a balanced way. So, we were talking on the break, there's not a lot of information out there, which there's really not, but we're going to talk a little bit about what we know today. So hopefully everybody learns a little
And what
something
we
from
know is not a lot.
Jack shit.
I mean, what we do know is that a lot of people need to take better consideration of their time management and their resources, and they also need to kind of stay in their lane. If they are not really a grower, they need to not grow.
Is that how you feel about it?
That's kind of how I feel about
I
it.
love when new people grow. Okay, because that's, for me, it's a cool thing. I like when people are growing. I'd love to see more people grow their own medicine
For themselves.
But
why do you want people to grow their own things to fuck them up? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if they're not educated enough, I would rather have somebody educated and then grow. I don't want somebody just start fucking around and learn as you go, because this isn't something that you can learn as you go. You really have to educate yourself for it. Not a lot of people are doing that. They're just jumping into it.
Best
Let's put it this
education.
way, like, you gonna build a car and just go fucking drive it, or are you gonna go buy a car because it's been safety tested and when you drive it on the car and a fucking big rig hits you that you're gonna live, or are you just gonna build something in your fucking garage and go out there and be like, I guess I'll win.
Yeah. But it takes experience to have an education
And once
about growing
again,
cannabis,
you see
right?
that from an investor's perspective too.
No, I'm seeing it from a common sense. It's like a tattoo artist.
Well, you never know. I mean, how many plants have you grown? You may be the best fucking grower known
That's
to
true.
mankind.
Right, but I don't have the
millions
drive.
of dollars.
But I can't be, because I don't have the drive to do it.
Right.
That's the I know that I know that I don't have the drive to do it, so therefore I don't attempt it.
Well, I guess what I'm saying though is, if somebody has that drive to do it,
Then
they
they
want to do it, and they want to grow their own medicine.
Then they need to learn about it first. If you don't,
Yeah.
if you don't have, if you cannot, that's exactly what I'm saying. If you don't take the time to learn about what you're doing, then you don't really care about it. You're just like, if you're saying, well, I just want to grow pot and I don't want to do nothing else, and you won't take the time to educate yourself, then you're a lazy fuck off. That's all you are. You're not a grower. You know what I mean? If you're not taking the time to educate yourself and learn what you're so passionate about, then you're using that as a cop-out to just sit around and give stoners a bad name. And that's the type of people that we don't want. And that's what I'm trying to get at is, I'm not saying if you're passionate about it, and I'm not saying don't try it if you don't know it, because you never learn. But don't go out and try to go into it and start building all this shit, and you have no idea what you're doing, because what they're doing is creating more idiots. Because they're getting it and be like, yeah, man, I'm doing this. And then his friend comes over, yeah, I'm going to do that too. So now you got 2 idiots doing it. And then they're telling 2 more idiots. And now you got to go a whole neighborhood, and nobody can figure out why they can't grow weed anymore.
Well, and I think that's exactly and precisely why there's not a lot of information out there about cannabis conservatism, is because you've heard the expression that lies will travel around the world in a night, and the truth will take forever. Something like that. I don't fucking know.
It's close enough.
But
It's close enough.
Close enough, right? So, but that's my point is some of the best growers out there, and Carl, I know you've been doing your research on this recently. Some of the best growers out there aren't talking about what they're doing. They're doing it very conservatively.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What's this? So we were talking recently about no-till gardening, right?
Yeah, it's blowing my mind right now. I'm still new to the game. I haven't done it personally, so I don't have a lot of personal experience, but I've been doing a lot of research and reading a lot of literature, and wow.
Right.
Lot to take in.
I mean, you're cutting. This goes back to, Lambo, you were asking earlier about cutting corners, and how is cutting corners good. Here's a corner that you can cut without paying your hydro guy $1 million fucking dollars every time that you have a run, and that's doing no-till gardening. The nutrients are already there in your soil. There's a full ecosystem in your soil. You don't even have to pull your root ball. You're just putting a new plant in its place once you harvest. tell me that's not mind blowing. It's a huge,
Yeah, but
huge
has
cut
any-
to corners, and it's working for people.
But have you tried it personally?
I've never done it. No.
No,
See,
but
that's
But
what
there
I'm
are people
saying.
out there it's
But
working
this,
for.
This is the point that I'm trying to make, and I know that we're trying to give education, but I think this is more education than anything. Is how to put the brakes on a little bit. Is they get online, they read something, and then they do a whole fucking setup based on what they read. They don't
Right.
they don't go somewhere and see it done. You don't have to do it yourself to learn it. You can go to somebody, learn from somebody else's mistakes. It's kind of like going to the bank and getting a loan for your car, saying, "Hey man, I'm gonna drive this car. I got $50,000 in the bank, but I think I'm gonna borrow 50 from you."
That's why I respect the local the good hydro shops that educate their customers. They
Exactly.
won't sell you some shit you don't
yeah,
want.
and not just trying to push the product, but actually push the product that works. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And that's going to work for your situation. They have to take. Listen, and
There's a lot of
I know
variables, man.
you got kind of upset about this earlier, but I've never seen more variables than there. There are so many variables. to
That's
growing.
what makes a good grower.
But that's why I'm saying you need to be fucking educated. Go ahead, Carl. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No,
man.
I'm just saying that right there is where it makes cut or break. Makes a good grower is
Right.
whether you're able. Okay, so I got 10-foot ceilings.
Right.
I can't use high pressure sodiums because that's the minimum or maximum amount, I guess, is
Right.
what they require. At least 9
Yeah, you're going
foot.
to burn your plants.
Right, so you got to really. There's so many variables, or there's no place to put fresh air, so you're going to have to run CO2.
Right.
There's
And these are all indoor gardener problems, but it really just comes back to.
But are these indoor gardening problems that you guys have experienced, or things
Absolutely.
that you've read?
We've experienced a few of those. Yeah.
One, hand in hand. Yeah.
See,
sure.
and that's information that people need. A lot of people that are giving out information, it's like, well, I read this on this website. You're not supposed to do that. That's bad. So that's out now. They're giving out information that they've read. And they're not giving out personal experiences.
Right.
That's why I can't get out here and be like, well, you need to do this and do this, because I don't have any personal experiences growing cannabis. I know what you need to do as far as a business aspect of it, or
Right.
just common sense part of it. I don't know how to physically put the plant in the ground or the seed in the
Yeah,
ground.
and the last business venture that you went in with growing left a bad taste in your mouth, correct?
Yes, but it also gave me perspective on how the business is supposed to work.
Yeah.
You need to
So-
fail in order to win.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
I
I
used
built
it for a positive.
If-
Yeah, yeah.
If I had, I don't regret doing that, because if I hadn't have done it, it wouldn't have gave me the drive to get into the industry to figure stuff out. Because I wanted to get in and get my money back, and I just figured out that that's almost like gambling. You just cannot do
It's
that.
that lottery
If you've
mentality
made it-
Frank was mentioning.
Yeah, I mean that's what it is, and we started TerpHouse over a passion, not monetary,
Right.
and that's what you guys are talking about. Is like growing is not a monetary thing; it's a passion.
Yes.
To have good medicine, good quality medicine.
Yeah,
that's
you
good
got to
for
be
your
Right.
patients.
passionate, or you'll
But-
never get it.
But you have to, and you can quote me or you can stop me if I'm wrong. But you have to have money to get quality bud, or
That's-
you have to live in a native area that
Or live,
it's
eat, breathe
indigenous
it.
to.
Yeah, I mean,
You
You
have
can't
to
eat,
have
live, and
some-
breathe it unless you have money.
You have to have
You can't eat or breathe unless you have money.
Yeah, you have to have
True.
some money to start. But here's the deal, and this goes back to cannabis conservatism. Depending on the method, depending on your variables, depending on all these things, you may be able to get by with starting up for very little to nothing. Okay, there's so many things that you can go to Home Depot and pull off, man.
or that you might have in
yeah.
your garage
Right,
that you don't even
but
know
are you
about.
talking about pulling it off as far as like doing 30 or 40 plants?
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Well, yeah,
flood
but that-
tables.
that's-
You can build your own fucking flood
You-
tables,
but
man.
do
Nobody
you-
knows that.
Right, but do you see what you're saying? You could do this, you could do that. It's
Well,
a
no, it's-
fucking gamble. It's like saying,
Possibilities, everything.
It's
So-
been done.
Walking out the doors again.
so what that is like, what that sounds like to me, and is exactly what it is. It's like what you used to get on to me about. That's like going into Vegas, taking 5 or 10 grand, however much your shit's worth, putting it on red or black, and hoping it's going to hit. And you're going to double your money.
You have a great
Right.
point. That is a great
That's
point.
and that's what I'm trying to reach to you guys is you don't need 30. If you're passionate about growing, grow 3 or 4 plants perfectly, because great martial art, and I'm an MMA guy, so that's why I'm going to do this. Great martial artists don't practice 55,000 fucking moves every practice. They practice a few.
Totally understand.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
So
That's
that's what I'm trying to get to. So people encouraging people to do 20 and 30 plants is asinine to me.
No, start small.
You have
I'm
to
gonna-
go with 3 or 4
But
plants.
to
no,
say
I-
that there's not money in it, I mean,
No, there's money in it, but you either have to start small and build it,
Right.
or already have a fuck ton of money and can be able to do it right the very first time. And by
Yeah.
doing it right, I'm talking about having all the research done, hiring scientists and shit. You have to have $1 million or more to have a successful operation in my eyes.
Well,
Because
you look at some of these commercial
Commercially.
gardens, man. I mean, some of these commercial gardens, Jungle Boys, shout out to those guys and some other guys.
Well, hey, hold on.
Amazing
They've got
medicine.
huge.
Now that you called them out, does anybody here know how the
operations.
Jungle Boys started? They
I have no
started
clue.
in
Like a garage,
closet.
right?
Yeah, they
Or,
started
yeah,
in a
like
closet
four-
with 6 plants.
Yeah.
exactly how I said to do it.
Yeah, and they
Oh,
put it up
imagine
on
that.
their. They put it up on their Instagram. They said this is where you have to learn from right here. They said you cannot do a big scale unless you know how to do a small
Right.
scale.
And
Because
it's the
unless you
same
know how to
thing we're
control your
saying.
temperature, your humidity, your entire ecosystem that you're creating.
Right.
You have to know how to take care of it. And if you don't know how to do it on 6 plants, you'll never be able to do it on 600.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how the Jungle Boys started. Is they didn't start in a gigantic warehouse at TLC. They started in a room smaller than this one that we're in right now, learning how to control the proper things.
Right. Well, it's like the common misconception. Oh, LEDs won't flower good plants for you. You won't get good plants.
They are
from
strain
LEDs.
specific. I will give them that one.
All right, that's
And
maybe.
that's debatable.
That's
you know,
debatable.
Right. Where's the research that says that LED lights are strain specific?
I will have some
There's
for
not
next
enough
show.
many
I will.
You know what I
know
mean?
some guys doing
And
it
I'm
right
not,
now.
I'm not being I'm not being a
I
dick
feel
about
you.
it. But like they said, there are a lot of variables. So that's what I'm trying to get at is that when people are saying, well, this works, I'm telling you, bar none. There's not enough research to verify that works.
right? Because it's so new.
Right.
Well, I got some boys doing some really, really great banana OG, and it does good under high pressure sodium. The second they put it under the LEDs, it did 10 times better.
And that
Right, but that
actually,
could be-
I can kind of understand that. Maybe like the trichome production or something. You know,
All
the
of it. It got the plants got
produced-
bigger,
right,
the
right.
trichomes were
But it
bigger.
could be because
everything
it's
was better.
activating an
Well-
actual nutrient that the other light is not activating.
Right, and I was
This
about to
is
say,
also
ask
true.
You know what I
yourself,
mean?
was it the heat from the HPS,
Was it the spectrum?
or was it the
could have been
spectrum?
a lot. They
That's
they
what you
tend
gotta
to
ask
think
yourself.
it's more towards the spectrum, to be quite honest with you, but because they control their temperature and everything in their HPS rooms,
Right.
they control all that, top
But
notch.
check this out. This is kind of my point here is that I was told forever and ever and ever, oh, LED lights are bad to grow with. LED lights are bad to grow
Because
with.
nobody has enough money to
Right.
grow with
But
them.
if I would have purchased one LED light, then at that point I wouldn't have been battling humidity and I wouldn't have been battling climate in my grow space. And it would have alleviated me losing at least one of those harvests that I lost to, God forbid I say it, but powdery mildew.
Dum dum dum.
and you're not pumping so much juice into the lights,
And you're
you
not
know?
pumping so much juice. You're saving energy costs month in, month out. Okay. I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer now
Well,
looking back hindsight.
If you look on
Oh, yeah,
social
totally.
media and all the other places and all the forums and stuff, the people that are using LEDs fucking love them.
Yeah, everybody loves them that's using
Yeah,
them,
they have
and the people
nothing-
that aren't using them are the ones that are bitching about it.
Exactly.
No, that's the wave of the future. LEDs is the way to go. It costs $100 a month to run a standard 1,000-watt HPS. It costs
Easily,
about it costs maybe $10 a month to get the equivalent in an LED.
Right.
So you can run 10 of those things.
Right.
And you don't even need 10. Most of them have a bigger spread
No, if
than
you're-
your
with that
HPS.
being
If you're
light.
running
said-
10, you got a
But
gigantic
you see, this
operation
is an
going on.
argument that shouldn't even be happening because if you're on that scale where you need a bunch of LED lights, you should have enough money where you're not bitching about, well, this is more expensive than that one. When you're cutting corners like that, that's when you need to reevaluate what the fuck you're doing.
But no, that's the whole essence
that's
of
the
the
thing.
show,
Topic,
my
Kansas
friend, is
conservatives
being
cutting corners.
conservative. You know, cutting corners in cost,
Being
not in quality.
Being conservative would be not putting your money up if you can't afford to lose it. That's being conservative.
Well, I would
Being
agree.
conservative, that's the whole thing, because what's going to happen is I'm trying to get people to understand that they need to start small, and then we're going to talk about how you can cut corners with 30 or 40 plants, and it's going to nullify everything that we're talking about.
No, that's not what I'm saying. You got to start small, but start small with a light that you know is right for you. Start small by doing your own research. Try 3 or 4 different lights.
And where do you
You
get
know.
where do you
what
get
worked
these?
good for us our first grow? It was 2 plants, 1 light, 400 watt, right?
Yeah,
Metal halide.
that's it.
We yielded like 7.5 ounces off 2 plants.
And where did you guys get your research, and where did you guys buy all of your equipment? Like,
We
where would
learned-
somebody go to get a small setup right now for their closet? Where did you guys
You know
go to
what?
get that?
Well, and here's the deal. A lot of people would say, go to your local hydro store.
Yeah,
but
man,
I'm going to
give
stop
them
them
some
right
more
there.
money.
But me here personally, I've been opened up to a whole new just realm of the growing aspect of things. And I would say, look in your garage, see what you got. Or go to Home Depot. Just find any way to kind of MacGyver your way. I hate to say it, but to cut corners, so to speak, and to save as much money as you can with the initial setup.
Right. There are ways you can go to Home Depot. You can build your own setup. You don't have to go to the hydro store and spend $800 for a closet grow.
Or, okay, and a prime example of this is we just went to the hydro store, not, to bash any names, but, hydro stores, they just, they take so much of the growers. We have a love-hate relationship because we need them, you know what I mean? But at the same
and
day,
they need us, but
there
they
is-
take our money.
Yeah.
There is one hydro store that does help you out a whole lot. That's the Hydro Spot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're amazing.
The
guys,
Hydro
man.
Spot,
Yeah.
Riverside.
Shout out to Hydro Spot. We love you guys.
They're right off of Jefferson and Indiana, isn't it?
Yeah, somewhere around in there.
Oh,
I mean,
they're-
and the
they're
thing
awesome.
is, they're in Corona too. They've got 2 locations, but the thing is, there's most of the guys there will actually point you in the right direction. They'll take time to find out what the variables are in your room.
Because they're growers
Okay,
themselves.
and if you tell them the truth
they're
of
passionate.
exactly what you're dealing with, then they'll take the time to figure it out, and they'll help you find a solution. It's not going to cost you $1 million, and may save you some time and effort. And
Exactly.
that's important. That's the problem with most of the hydro stores. They want you to spend $1 million. They don't want to answer your questions.
And
man.
and what you don't understand is you can go to your Home Depot and what you just spent, $250 on for say your average good flood table. You're looking at $200 to $250 for a good. I think about 4 foot by 8 foot spread or something. Give or take.
$250.
But you go to Home Depot and you find that same material. You get some 2x4 and some pond lining. They have the little koi fish for landscape and stuff. You get that material, and you're in the shit like $60, $80 in your manual labor.
And you can customize the size that you need
Exactly.
according to the variables in your room.
It's small things like that.
And that's conservatism.
Right.
Exactly.
But then this goes back to the businessman in me. I've always learned and I've always heard that if you want quality, you cannot cut corners. So I'm having an awful hard time.
I could tell you're over here like cringing.
Well, because just listen to me for a second. Because I'm a firm believer, and the only reason I'm a firm believer in this now because I wasn't, but I believe that if you can't afford something, then you should not have it. And the only reason I believe that now is because I've had so many things that I could not afford. BMWs, Mercedes, and shit that I could
let me
not
ask you
afford.
something. As a businessman, so McDonald's is a prime example, right? You go buy a chicken McNugget from McDonald's. Do you think they bought the most expensive batter they could find to wrap around that fake ass fucking chicken?
No, because
You know how you got the 6-piece nuggets?
but they're a multi-million-dollar company, and they're cutting corners, right? And they're giving out shit.
Yeah, but we're not talking about.
So that's a
giving
horrible
shit.
example that you
This
just
is
brought up because they cut
it's
corners.
a
They
great
don't use
example.
real chicken.
It's a great example because with cannabis, that's the beauty of the cannabis plant is you can cut cost corners.
And you can
Give
fuck
your
it up by
plant-
doing that.
Give your plants more love and cut some financial costs out of it, and you can come out with a better fucking plant than
It
the guy
comes-
that's spending $1 million a bucket.
Yeah, you can, but you can also have an inferior product that's fucked up.
Yeah,
and it all comes down to the grower and the variables.
Yeah, that's
Are
right.
you good at having that balance?
Right.
Are you,
So,
are
but-
you preventing Are you having a pesticide regimen?
Right,
Are you having
and out of our research right now, how many people are doing that?
a lot? I mean,
We've seen a lot of people that are just giving out great stuff.
No, some people don't know how to grow.
No,
they don't
no,
know what
no,
they're
no.
Right.
doing.
The majority of stuff that we're seeing is bunk, dirt, weed because they're cutting corners. So I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to argue that you can't cut corners. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm trying to argue is that you shouldn't be growing if you have to worry about cutting corners.
Well, and what I'm saying is don't start with the most expensive method of growing to figure out how to grow. Start small.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
do it in the most conservative manner that you can. Go to Home Depot to build what you can instead of going to the hydro spot and spending $1 billion.
But if you don't educate yourself on what you need, how can you build it?
You know what? Let's go.
They should be
Hold on a
educating
second.
That's what I'm saying. That's
We've
what
had
I'm
this
saying.
whole
Like,
first part of the show about growing cannabis conservativeness, or you know what I mean?
Right.
Let's think about consuming the cannabis now. So
Right.
using your grinder and the collection of keef at the bottom. How
Right.
can you use that to your advantage? And how
That
can
could be turned into something.
So you know what I mean?
it's turned into moon rocks.
Moon
That's
rock.
what I'm saying. So let's
It's
open this up
it's
a little
whole,
bit.
That's what I meant earlier when I said, it's almost in the realm of of politics. When you hear someone as a conservative politician, you think about, you don't just think about, oh, that's just how they view the Constitution and that's just how they view this or that.
Right.
You think about their whole lifestyle in terms of that. And cannabis conservatism a lot of times works the same way. Some of the most conservative growers that I know drive the cars that get the best gas mileage. You know,
Right.
I mean, I don't know if that's a coincidence. You know
Well,
what I mean?
it's. I'm not going to mention any names. It's like that one guy we met, you know, a couple years back. You know,
Yeah.
he was driving a Pinto. You know, it was like a 1990 Topaz with, you know, Reebok
But
shoes. And
my-
we walked in, the guy has, you know, 15 pounds of the best
Medicine
you know,
you've ever seen
yeah,
in
and
your
a huge
life.
grow, and you know, tons of, you know, money, you know,
I love those people.
thrown into these, you know,
Yeah.
these grows, and you would never know it because it's just. You
I
know.
mean, and he had
Hold
just,
on, did you say you had a ton of money thrown into the grows?
Yeah, okay, so
What I'm trying to say, baby, you guys are hit. I love
Okay,
it. Keep
stop
talking.
you right there.
Keep talking, baby. You guys are
guys
proving me
just
right
made
more and
his
more.
fucking
No,
point.
I'll
Keep
pause
proving
you
me
right
more and
there.
more.
They
So
pulled in.
basically, if you were to liquidate all that flour, go ahead and do the math at $3,000 a unit right now, or you know,
Yeah.
and that's at
Whoa, whoa,
wholesale.
whoa, whoa!
Dispensaries.
Where are you getting $3,000 a unit,
Okay.
bro?
Hey, we ain't
Hey,
telling you all that. This is
retail.
that type of show.
this was fire.
Yeah, what
my
the
friend.
fuck?
This was the stuff
According
that
to the
dispensaries
stock
just
market.
salivate.
Right, but he didn't grow it in his closet with shit from Home Depot. Is what I'm trying to say. He had money to invest in a big grow.
But guess what he did
you,
do? He
you
went
got-
to
you
Home
guys are thinking
Depot.
of it as cannabis growers.
Well,
like,
we
well,
don't
we just
know
need to
that.
save money.
We don't know that. Actually.
You just said it was a huge grow and threw a bunch of money into
He
it.
was
bro.
rocking hippie buckets.
Yeah,
man.
but we don't know how he started. He could have flipped that in, you know, that.
Yeah,
that
we
could
don't
have
know where it
started
came from.
2 lights to 6 lights to 1,000.
Exactly
lights.
how I said to start, with 2 lights to 6 lights. That's what I'm saying.
You guys are proving his point right now.
You guys are proving my point. Is
So
that
what he's doing
once
is
you
getting
get to
pissed off that we're agreeing with him. That's what's
Yeah,
happening.
yeah.
No, you're not.
Lando gets pissed off. That's
No,
what he
you're not
does.
agreeing with, because what I am saying is that in order to have the bombest, dankest shit, you need to be able to afford the bombest, dankest shit, and in order to do that, you can't cut corners.
Now, with that being said,
That's not true though.
You,
man.
I mean, no,
Stop
that's
you
not.
right
That's not
there.
true. It's not true. You can cut corners, but you have to be knowledgeable and you have to put your time into the
Yeah.
game.
And this is a guy
And-
that had been growing for 30 years, man.
Right.
Cut the
Yeah,
right corner.
absolutely.
Right. So
yeah.
and he probably did. He probably started as an apprentice or something. What I'm trying to avoid is because you guys are coming. I'm coming in it as a business mindset because that's what it is.
Yeah, and we hate suits. Fuck you, man.
We've already
And let's
established.
all, you know, let's all be real. I'm Carl. I'm just trying to grow
Well,
the dopest dope.
Carl's just a
What-
Carl.
He's just there to grow dope.
He's like, he's everything that you're bitching about. He's like, man, I just want to grow
I can't
dope.
bitch about anything because everybody's talking.
Yeah, because you never ever interrupt anybody. Go ahead, proceed.
So anyway, what I'm trying to say is, I don't even remember what I was trying to say. So go ahead. Fuck it. I don't even remember what I was saying now.
Marijuana conservatism.
Conservatism.
I don't remember.
But that's the point, though, man. It's like, you know, what we're saying is basically start small, be conservative. And you're saying, yeah, start small, be conservative. We are agreeing.
No, you're saying, well, you know, if you want to do 40 or 50 plants, you can just cut a bunch of corners. And no, you can't.
No, that's not
Well,
what
that's
I'm
the
saying.
whole topic
that's-
today. We're trying to cut
But
corners.
what
It's
I'm
a
saying is that people are taking a generalization. So when you say, well, if you want to go out and get the SPC lights or whatever the fuck it is,
HPS.
whatever, generalizing it, they're hearing, okay, so you just need this, this, and this. They're going to go out and get those things and start without any education. You need to break it down and keep it simple. Look, you guys cannot go out. If you've never grown more than 5 plants at a time, you cannot go out and start 20, 30 plant garden. You can't. You can't go out and buy LED lights. You can't go out and buy the best, dopest dope you can smoke. You can't do it. You can't do it. You can't. You cannot. C-A-N-T. Can't do it.
Man,
Tell
You
him.
can't do
Where's
it.
the tell him button?
No, no.
Okay, so let's get that clear right now. And if you are doing 20 and 30 plants at a time and you are cutting corners, I can guarantee you're going to have a problem and you're going to lose money your first, second, and third run
And
if
you know-
you get that far.
Yeah,
We should
learn
have
to
some
cut your
callers
corners
that
at
have-
2 and 3.
Yeah.
That's where I'm trying to. That's the upsetness I'm getting at because we're not going back to the basis of we're talking about lights and this and that. That shouldn't even be an issue.
Well, you
in-
still
Right, let's
need-
go back to the
Yeah,
basis
let's
of
have some
the
callers.
Let's just-
episode.
you guys take it over.
Cannabis conservativeness.
Well, you still
and
have
the
to
topic of the
have
show.
lights. You still have to have a light to grow 2 or 3 plants, right?
Right, or like trim, you know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
Let's just, let's go back to the topic about, the actual cannabis conservativeness. What are ways to cut corners as a consumer even?
Yeah.
Taking, your trim off of stuff that you've grown and making your edibles and stuff.
Right. You can do that.
You
All
know
right,
what
but
I
at the
mean?
end of the day, and I get where he's coming from. I totally get it. Maybe he doesn't understand that we are actually agreeing here. But at the end of the day, you need to learn to cut corners, or you won't survive on a larger scale. But you got to cut those corners on a smaller amount. Okay, don't go and get all your buddies to give you all their ricks and go in and try to grow 100 plants for all your buddies, because they've all got recs, and you're
Exactly.
gonna fail at that. What you need to do is you need to grow your own medicine, 2 or 3 plants in your closet, whatever your current laws where you live will allow you to do. And when you do that, learn to cut your corners there. Save your costs. Don't go buy a flood table from the hydro store when you can go build one.
Do your research, people.
Do your research.
It's so easy. You got Google at your fingertips.
You know what I mean? And actually sit down and weigh the costs.
And a lot of people are growing on hearsay. My friend grew
It
once,
happened to me.
and they had a great grow. Where they educated on how to grow, and they got lucky. And their next crop wasn't the same.
And that happens too.
I have a couple friends, that have great success stories. So they are out there, people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just keep that in mind.
Yeah, I mean, people are doing it. He's gone now, so I can say this. People are doing it and cutting costs. They're doing it. I know it's so hard for any businessman to understand, but it is happening. So.
Well, it all comes back to keep it simple, stoner.
It really does.
Yeah, it
No.
starts and ends with that, right?
Keep it simple, stoner.
Well-
I mean, that's where it comes down to. You don't need to invest $1 million, but you do need to learn so you can eventually invest $1 million.
For
that's
sure.
the way this
Absolutely.
works.
I think we're going to go to break here shortly, but here's all I can say is try to cut your corners.
Yeah.
Do it in a
The right
conservative
ones.
manner. The right ones. But at the end of the day, still make sure that you're getting a very, very good quality product that you can be proud of. And you know what's in it because you grew it yourself.
Yeah, and don't spend your last dollar on it either.
Don't do that.
Yeah, and that's
Fuck no.
that. Yeah, absolutely. So
Well, just remember, I mean,
Just keep
weed gives you the
calm and grow
munchies.
on.
You always have to have money to eat.
Thanks for that little nugget. We'll
All
be
right.
back. We'll take a break. Thank you very much. after that little break?
Oh, I feel good now.
You got to get your, I tell you what, I got some terpene action in on that break.
Nice.
I feel much better.
Nice and
Yes.
medicated.
Yeah, which, by the way, we do want to give a big shout out to the TerpHouse. You can go visit them at theterphouse.com. If you use coupon code Kaotic, KAOTIC, you can definitely earn yourself quite a hefty little discount in terms of what they've got going on at their store. So go check them out. We were just talking on the break about, we've kind of been talking all show about cannabis conservatism. We, of course, have ran into some disagreements, which is totally natural in the growing world, in the cannabis world. I think one thing that everybody agrees on is the cannabis industry. It needs to be more productive in terms of business. It needs to be more business-like. There needs to be safer products out there on the market. There needs to be more testing. There needs to be more regulation. And where you're going to run into those disagreements is when you have guys that have that business mindset, and that also have that professional mindset when they run into old school grower Carls.
Right.
It's the truth. I mean,
am I calling it like I see it or what? I mean, come on.
no, it's 100% the way you see it. You're calling it how I see it. I mean, here's the deal. Okay, so I just think that the best way to make good medicine, it doesn't determine whether you have thousands of dollars in order to make this huge grow. I'm passionate about this. This is my lifestyle. I live, eat, and breathe this 24/7. You know what I mean? So in my eyes, yeah, I feel as if you can build a dream off 2 plants.
But
You know what I mean?
let's talk about that a little bit, and maybe let's try to come to some understanding here. So, do you think there are methods that are more costly to grow your own medicine than other methods? What are the popular methods of growing that to be costly, and what are some of the more unpopular methods that to save money in terms of growing cannabis?
Well, the number one, let's get it out of the way now. Hydro, the ebb and flow system. You know what I mean, that's one
these
of the
systems are costly just to even purchase, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're at your local hydro store. You're looking at, do the math. To have a good ebb and flow system, you need a water chiller. That's what, $1,200.
Maybe. I mean, you probably pick up a junk one for like $800.
Yeah, or a used that's already been in a garden before, clean it out whatsoever.
Which is risky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and then you got a lot of stuff that comes out with that too. So you have HydroGuard. You have other preventatives that you have to throw in your stuff. You have.
And most guys will tell you they're not going to run those ebb and flow systems without air stones in the bottom of the buckets.
Yeah, and that throws in,
There's
forever
more
how
cost.
many plants you have, you need an air stone in each bucket. So say
Right.
you have 24 plants, it's 24 air stones. I mean, that shit adds up after a
Bubblers,
while.
yeah.
Fuck yeah, it
so-
does.
And some of the guys that are the best in the industry right now, Kevin Godry and people like that.
Yeah, that guy, man.
You idolize these guys. Some of these guys are not. They're not fucking with hydro, man.
No.
No,
they
man.
want nothing to do with it.
Some of my buddies with the biggest grows, dude, shout out Hitman Dougie,
Yeah.
Hitman Farms, bro. Like, all they run is soil.
Yeah.
You know, they have these gigantic farms, and they're just in soil and greenhouses, and they turn out some of the best fucking cannabis
Dude,
you can have.
And the taste is there, right?
Oh, everything's there.
Flavor.
Well, there's
Everything's
something
there because
so beautiful about the relationship between the soil and the plant.
well, not just that, but I mean, they grow good cannabis, and then they also know how to cure the cannabis well. They know how to get it to the consumer and have it still be in good form. It's not
Right.
dried. It's not to the point where you got to put some, pack in there, lettuce like the old hippies did and stuff like that. But
those old school Carl growers.
old school
Yeah,
Carl
yeah.
growers.
Well, hey man, listen, it's two worlds collide. I mean, and some of these old school Carl growers have some great ideas when it comes.
Well,
to
look at where we want to go. We
Well,
have to have two worlds collide. Excuse me,
Cocoa.
and be able to
Soil
adapt and
and
overcome
hydro.
together because we need the businessmen to
Yeah,
be able to
you're
fund the
gonna
guys
have
that
to
are the
have
good
them to
growers.
survive. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, yeah, exactly. You're gonna have to have them
And-
to survive. Money is going to be the I hate to say it, but money is the reason this industry is going to survive. Passion is not going to be why this industry survives.
And it makes the world turn, brother. I
And
hate to
it's
say it,
unfortunate, but that's the way it's going to be.
right.
So we have to have money, and we have to learn to coexist together. They have to give. We have to give.
Speaking of money, we just talked
I like
about
that.
one of the more
Agreed.
costly ways of growing on your own, growing your own medicine. Here's the deal. There's some other ways out there. Not a lot of people know about them. Cocoa, like I heard Carl just mention cocoa.
I love cocoa.
He loves
I
cocoa.
love the cocoa.
And we're not just
man,
talking
it's
about the
the
growing
shit.
medium either.
Yeah.
No, man, it's the shit, though. So, like, it's very, very forgiving. You know what I mean? So, for instance, you know, you're running into New Bern, you just fucked up your mix one time. You're able to flush that plant, and it bounces right back within a few days.
Right.
Whereas, you know, with the hydro, you know, with those systems, a lot of the growers think it's something you can just walk away from. You know?
Oh no, man! The automated system.
Set it and forget it.
And it's not. So say you go a couple days, you know, and you haven't stepped in your garden, and you now, you know, your pH levels have
walking
risen
into a nightmare.
Yeah, and you have nutrient lockout and stuff. So there's all kind. With that being said, there's all kinds of different.
Let me
variables
tell you,
behind
it happened to me. It could happen to you. But that's the thing, man. You know, and at the end of the day, I think everyone agrees. You know, if you can get into a quality flower at much less of a cost, you would want to do that. I think everybody agrees there needs to be more regulation. There needs to be more businessmen in the industry. As you said, we need them.
and testing.
You know,
People
there needs to be
testing
more
this
testing.
medicine.
But you know, here's the deal, man. Some of the best cannabis out there is still floating around in people's closets.
Exactly.
It's not you haven't seen some of the strains. We don't even know their names. Some of the best cannabis strains out there that are available to medicate with. And some of these people, you know, hey, please come out of the woodwork, share it with the world. You know, we need to see some of this stuff. Come on. And here's the thing too, you know, with concentrates. I mean, a good portion of this show is focused on concentrates because of the TerpHouse, you know, being a sponsor of this show. With concentrates, I mean, some of that stuff is only coming from quality flower. So, I mean, we need more quality flower. We need more strains. We don't even know what this plant can really do for us yet.
Well,
I mean,
bringing that issue up, I think the concentrate market kind of killed the flower market in a way.
you think so?
Yeah, because a lot of people grew shit pot and then just decided, hey, you know what? I can just make BHO out of it.
Yeah,
It's going to
but
turn out to be
that's-
it's going to turn out to be half good. And then what they do? Oh, you know what? I made so much money off of this BHO. Why do I have to grow good weed when I can make more money growing shit weed, blowing it into BHO, and I'm the profit margin is
you know,
there.
but I think that's what the other Carl's so frustrated about is that, you know, people need to be more educated. They need to stop buying trash.
Exactly.
You got to stop buying shit that's not
But
tested.
I
You gotta
don't think
stop
that,
buying bullshit because you're giving these people money, you know, and they're turning around and they're smashing more trash with it. They're blowing down more butane honey oil with it. And this stuff is ruining people, man. I know this guy. I've mentioned it on the show before. I know this guy that smokes so much shitty BHO, you know, just not purged, just full of butane and stuff like that. Ate his fucking stomach up, man.
Man, I've seen people, they're just walking around like zombies too, like
Yeah.
just smoking that.
Yeah, and they're
good.
getting all messed up off all the other shit. I mean, have you ever looked and seen all the stuff that's, you know, the aftermath, the afterburn off all these huge supercritical machines and stuff? What's left over, the material that's...
I haven't, but
Oh man, I just happened to see a video a couple days ago, and it's raunchy. The shit that comes out of that stuff. That's going in. I mean, if you're not pulling that stuff out, with
You're
that
smoking
stuff,
it.
It's going into your lungs at that point. You know, or smaller scale. Look at your dab nail when you're going to take a dab. All those residuals and stuff that are in your nail.
All the
and
black.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the full mount. So when you're getting basically the most healthiest of the dabs is when you're going to see no residuals or anything
Right.
in that nail at the end of the
right.
end of the burns.
No, that's totally it. And that's the thing, man. There's a lot of companies out there. There's a lot of companies pushing a lot of wax. There's you know, you go to these events, it's slabs. You got slabs of rosin here. You got slabs of BHO here. This, that, the other, right? Man, some of that stuff, have you've gone to some of these events, right, Shay?
Oh, yeah.
Have you dabbed at some of these tents and then
I
walked
try
away
not
like,
to be quite honest
I
with
mean,
you.
have you seen some of the stuff that they're swiping out of there with the
Oh yeah,
Q-tip?
some of it's crap. It comes out at such bad coloring. It's such bad everything. You can tell when you look at most of the
Right.
stuff at these sessions, so called. That it's crap.
Well, and some of these guys are adding some things to some of this BHO. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah.
There's a couple companies out there that are claiming that they're using limonene. You know,
Why?
which is, but it's only one part of the.
terpene profile.
Yeah, I mean, limonene is the fruity smell, right? The citrus smell, I should say. That's the terpene that gives you that citrus smell from the bag when you.
Yeah,
open
but
the
if you're
bag.
only having
Sativas.
one, what's the point?
Yeah, but they're only adding one, right? And it just makes me wonder, like, can that even be good for you?
Is it good for you?
If
You're not getting the entourage effect.
You're not getting the entourage effect, right? So isn't
well,
there,
is it the entourage effect? Didn't we cover that last?
well, we
show?
did, but is there a piece of that puzzle missing? You know, is it now not the entourage or the ensemble effect, and now you're just kind of smoking something you don't need to be smoking? And
Well, I
it's
think
leaving a
I
residue.
think it hits better with the ensemble effect because that's a group of things, and it is a group of things coming together. It's not just the THC, it's not just the CBDs. It is the leftover crap that is also in the wax.
Which I did like that terminology, actually.
Yes,
I like that too.
I just think it does it adds a better definition to
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean? It really does because
classier.
it's not really like people are hanging around. It is like everything is acting together. Now, whether the sound coming from that is good or bad, that's a different story. Because if you have a bunch of butane and stuff in there, it's like throwing a rapper in with a 30-piece orchestra. It's just not going to sound good.
Right.
Well,
Well, and it's kind of like trash on trash, right? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Trash in, trash out.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, and you don't want that kind of crap in your body. And
no, I agree. And I'm glad there's a few companies out there. TerpHouse is one of them, but there's a few companies out there that are doing it the right way, that are actually focused on the medicinal side of cannabis here in California. Because, we visit this too much on this show, but we go to Colorado. It is different there. I mean, it's a different vibe. Cannabis has a different vibe in Colorado. It's treated more like a medicine.
it's regulated.
It's regulated better there.
Yeah.
The stigma's completely gone there. Here, there's certain sects of people. We're in Southern California here. There are two different sects of people. There are the people that are still stigmatized by it, believe it or not, and then there are the people that just look at it as like
me,
like this beer right here,
Right.
or like hey, it's a party thing, or it's a social thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. The beer actually has a warning label. You
Yeah.
don't have that in some of these concentrates. It's just
Well, this
pretty
is
We're
true.
going to.
yeah.
We're going to. That's all coming.
And speaking of, and there's so much hearsay going out there, and I've been trying to sort through some of it. But do you know some of the stuff that's going to be enacted in 2018? Have you researched?
Like you said,
any of the stuff?
there's a lot of hearsay. Some of the better things that I know is that they are going to try to do things like every single batch on the shelf will be tested per batch,
per batch.
so you know what's going in your body.
Well, the TerpHouse already does that. So that's good, but-
Exactly. But I mean, not everybody does.
Right.
So everybody does. But I'm talking about it's not just going to be concentrates. I'm talking flour, edibles. All of it is going to be tested batch wise, because that way it's the most controlled, it's the most regulated. You know exactly what you're putting in your body at that point.
Right. Well, and I often wonder, you look at some of these test results. We mentioned Monday on the show, we had mentioned that one company had advertised 72% THC on their packaging.
Yes, they
They
did.
came back at 27%. Those companies, these test results, that stuff, you're going to stop seeing that stuff. You're going to see, because now, these companies that are doing it right, they're already doing all the right things. They're already testing every batch. They're already going and spending a little extra money on doing things the right way. So those are the same companies that are probably still going to be around.
Right. Those companies that aren't doing that now aren't going to be around in a couple of years.
I think we're going to see the game change, man, in 2018.
Honestly, I hope we do. I get annoyed now when I go to dispensaries. I'm an ex-dispensary owner. I have numerous degrees in cannabis from Amsterdam. So when I go to talk to somebody, I just want you to know a little bit behind the counter.
Right.
When I ask you a question and you get a blank look on your face, step away from
What
the
are
counter.
terpenes?
Yeah, anything.
Yeah.
Man. When I'm asking you any question, I can ask people the dumbest things in the world and they don't have the answers for me. I'm like, well, what are you doing on that side of the counter?
Yeah.
You really shouldn't be. And that's what I like about Colorado. In order to stand on that side of the counter, you have to be certified.
Yeah.
You have to know your shit.
That is true.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what
I
California
think to
needs.
even serve patients, they have like a whole state database.
Yes.
There are
Yes,
certain
you're
things that you
registered.
have to know.
Yeah, you have to go to school. You have to show your certificates in order to say, "Hey, I went to this school. It's accredited, and I'm good to sit behind your counter." And then you're able to get hired. So
I love
you have
that.
to present yourself. You have to go after your own education in order to forward yourself in that career in cannabis in Colorado.
Right.
So I don't know why people don't want to do that.
I mean,
I took it upon myself years ago to go to Amsterdam when Amsterdam wasn't as big as they are now.
Right.
And that was just because I wanted people to take me fucking seriously.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm some kid that came from fucking Anza. Well, yeah, everybody knows people from Anza know how to grow weed, but so what? Now I can walk in and
You know why you're a fascinating case, though? To me, this is why you're a fascinating case, okay? You come from that old school Carl grower background.
fuck yeah, dude.
Right, you know what I mean? But now with the regulations changing, with everything changing, the stigma's leaving. People are doing more things in terms of cannabis and medicine now. You have jumped on that train, and you kind of left that old school Carl grower mentality behind, right?
In a way, I have, and in a way, it kind of needs to be, because we have to grow. If we always stay infants, well, nobody's going to take us fucking seriously. We have to be able to grow up to be adults and put on our big boy pants and put on our suit and walk in there with the big boys. Yeah. And if you want to stay where you're at, well, then everybody else is going to fucking pass you.
I think that's why the businessmen get frustrated.
That's why Carl was just like, God damn it.
Damn it.
Right, but it's
painful when
we
you
need
lose.
Carl.
It's painful when you lose money.
Exactly. It's a painful situation, man. It's two worlds collide. You heard me say that earlier. But it really isn't. It's really happening here in Southern California. Maybe not in Colorado. Maybe this isn't happening anymore. I'm sure it did at one point. They moved much faster. I mean, listen, California, we had passed our Proposition 215 back in 1996, but there was no real framework around much of that.
No research.
And
Yeah,
a lot of it
behind closed doors.
a lot of it wasn't even publicized. There wasn't a lot of facts.
It didn't even get real big until 2000.
Right.
People kind of sat around like, well, what is this? What do we sit here and do? Until people kind of started pushing the envelope
this is cool.
and stepping into the gray area, you know what I mean? And then the industry started to blow up. And honestly, I think that the economical fall of the United States, when we took a shit about 10 years ago or 12 years ago, whatever it was now, it actually upped the game, because that's when all the hydro stores opened, because everybody said, oh, I'm out of money, I'm losing my job. What do I do? I'm going to grow weed.
You got a point.
Ooh, but that's dangerous. See, that's the dangerous side of things, and this is where I see where businessmen get frustrated, is because it's like, man,
I totally see it.
It's betting the farm, man, on one harvest of cannabis, and that's totally a dangerous mindset. As somebody that's been there and done that,
It's stupid.
That's pretty dangerous.
It's stupid. As somebody that also has been there and done
Right,
that, it's
yeah.
stupid. I no longer do that. I mean, I did that when I was a teenager. I put all my eggs in one basket, and I had to go. I literally had to sit at my father's fucking dining room table and look at him and say, Dad, I need $50,000.
Oh,
Because
shit.
I went in the hole $50 fucking grand because the cops came and got me. So
Yeah.
it's a shitty fucking feeling.
Yeah, man. And as the other Carl was mentioning earlier on the show, if you don't gamble money you can't afford to lose, first and foremost, right? So if you're not in a position to do it, don't even try it. Okay, number one, if you are in a position to do it, maybe try it, but make sure it's something you're passionate about. And number three, when you do try it, try to do it cost effectively. Okay, and just do it in small numbers.
I have this to
2 or
say.
3 plants.
If you're going to gamble on anything, whether it be growing weed or throwing dice, just always remember that Vegas was not built on winners.
Good one. Yeah.
Right, those casinos,
that wasn't built because people walk in there and win millions of dollars. We're built because people walk in there and lose their fucking paychecks every fucking day.
And what I sometimes giggle about is, being a part of TerpHouse, we've talked to a lot of people in the industry and things like that. I've heard more than one occasion. Don't make your money off the plant, make your money off the pans. Have you ever heard that expression?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay, so there's people out there that truly believe in making their money from selling equipment to grow with, or selling a line of nutrients, or selling the little trays to pop your seeds in and shit like that, And I get it. There's a market for it, right?
Yeah, there's always a niche market for stuff like that.
There's a market for it, but we need people to be smart about how they spend their money. We need people, if there's an alternative out there that you can go to your local supply store, local hardware store, whatever, and grab on your own and not break the bank doing it, start there first. Maybe this other product is better. Maybe it's superior, but
good old American greed comes out every time. They see that somebody else is making more money, so they want to make more money, when they don't understand that they didn't go through the growing pains. They didn't go through the process of learning how to do it, because
truly are growing pains too.
Oh, it's so bad, growing pains. I probably killed more cannabis plants than I've ever fucking harvested.
Wow.
Yeah.
But it
gets rough.
Yeah, but now you know what? I can grow 20-foot fucking monsters.
Yeah.
Mother
So,
Nature
what's
laughs last, always.
Doesn't she?
Yeah.
Oh, she wins, bro.
Well, listen, and earlier on the show when we were talking about, how did it get so fucked up? That was my point earlier, is that Mother Nature always wins, in essence, is it got so fucked up because we got away from the natural side of things. We started growing in hydro instead of, the soil that the plant is used to growing, and we did all these things so differently.
But there's so many variables. Like, all right, your hydro shop's not telling you, okay, there might be spider mites in your soil or gnat flies in your soil, and you're buying the soil that's contaminated. And
these are things you learn, though, right? These are hard lessons learned.
It hurts,
It hurts. You know what hurts the worst? Right in your pocket. Right in your pocket.
Now, honestly, it's the pride that hurts the worst. When you're like, I'm growing good weed. I'm growing. Oh, fuck.
Right.
I lost it. I lost this whole harvest, man.
Fuck. There goes 10 fucking pounds.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's a terrible feeling, you know. But as somebody that tries to grow their own medicine, it's a glorious feeling when you can harvest some plants that you're proud of, that you can put away in the freezer for the rest of the year and just whip out when you want it. You know, like, hey, man, you remember that super lemon haze that I grew?
See, but I
got another ounce of that in the freezer that I grew.
I'm gonna go back to the fact that
last harvest.
I'm a complete fucking pot snob, and I probably wouldn't even enjoy it that much. I would rather have something that you just cured and it's nice and it's fresh and it smells. Don't get me wrong, yeah, you can throw it in the freezer and it's still gonna be good and everything like that, but I would honestly just have something that's fresh. Why grow 50 pounds and freeze it? I'd rather go 5 pounds, 5 pounds, 5 pounds, 5 pounds, 5 pounds.
Yeah.
Keep perpetual.
It goes back to that quality.
Not only
thing.
that, but we all know we build up tolerances of this shit. So if you grow 50 fucking pounds, well, shit, by 5 pounds, you're probably not going to really be getting that high out of it anymore. You know, you want something to change up. You want to have a little bit of
oh my God, it'd take me 50 years. It would take me 50 years to get through 50 pounds.
You know, I actually thought that once at a point in time in my life too. But you get around the room with your fucking homies, shit, weed starts to diss a fucking
shit changes,
that, dude. Yeah, I got some homies that can, when they're smoking their own shit, they can a gram 3 days. They're smoking my shit, a gram 6 seconds.
Isn't that crazy? But you know, that's and that's the thing too, is like how many, and that's part of the stigma. Listen to this. This is part of the stigma, right? So what's happening here is you just said it is, you know, I smoke with my homies, a gram, blah, blah, blah. I don't see anybody, unless they're just like pain pill drug addicts or something like that, I don't see anybody sharing their medicine with other people. And maybe that's a weird point to make, but tell me that you see that, you know. So we're on the show here and we're talking about, hey, you know, things need to be more regulated. It needs to be treated more medicinally, but we're still doing this shit, man. We're still passing our joint to our homies, you know.
Always pass the Dolce to the left-hand side, bro.
I know.
And that's where
it gets difficult, right?
Yeah, man.
Two worlds collide.
Yeah, I'm about spreading the love, you know what I mean, in a way, and so to speak. And you know, when I'm smoking a joint, I want, oh man, this is amazing. This gives me a euphoric effect. Here, check this out.
Does this do this for you?
Yeah. It may not necessarily give you the exact effect that it was giving me, but man, it's still, you know, it has medicinal qualities, and we're all, you know, at the end of the day, we're all kind of wired the same way.
It's a beautiful plant, and it has a ton of things that need to be shared with the world.
It has saved my life on many occasions.
Yeah,
and other people's.
You know, it sucks that there is the stigma. It sucks that there's this federal legislation that, you know, prevents it from going out to people that actually need it for medicinal reasons. There are a bunch of, hey, I may catch some hate for this, all right, but there are a bunch of people out there holding Rex that don't need them.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Oh yeah. When I ran
it's
my
an
own
abuse
collective,
of the system.
Yeah, when I ran my own collective, one of the first questions out of my mouth to a new patient was, "What do you medicate for?" Because a patient is going to go into it. I medicate for insomnia because of this and this and this.
Right.
Somebody wants to come in to get high. They go, "I got back pain."
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And
you
I
got
can
back
fight
pain?
that. I'm sorry, I have to disagree.
Yeah. Well, Carl broke his neck here.
Yeah. Well, not even only that. I'm just saying, I feel as if cannabis can help everybody on Earth. Why does it have to be like? For instance, I have amazing symptoms.
I agree with that, Carl, but I'm saying for medicinal reasons, there are a bunch of people that have Rex that don't need them.
Okay, yeah.
For medicinal reasons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And because, you know, maybe we can say that now because California passed recreational legislation, even though it's being banned in most of these other counties. But I've always kind of felt that way, man. I'm just saying what I think everybody else is afraid to say. Yeah. But, you know, now that it's recreational, I feel like I can say it. I mean, there were a bunch of people out there holding Rex that didn't need them, and there are a bunch of people that don't have them that definitely need them.
Well, I mean, come on. When you're getting your doctor's
definitely need them.
When you're getting your rec over Skype, bro, it kind of became a joke.
Yeah, I have to admit, like when I personally went in there, I'm like, okay, well, like you had just mentioned, I broke my neck a couple years ago, so I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm definitely solid with this, but I was doing some research, and there's people getting, you know, prescribed with this because they're ankles hurt because they wore high heels.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so
It's listen. It can do it, but I'm not saying that it won't help that person, because it will. Your ankles hurt. It will help with that. Cannabis can help a number of people on a number of different levels, but I think medicinally, that's why I'm glad recreational passed, because, I mean, to me, it should be recreational because it can help everybody. Yeah, you be the judge, but I mean, to me, it should be recreational. It can help everybody. Some people, I have headaches a lot of times. I'm not going to go to my doctor and say, I get headaches once a week or twice a week or whatever, and have him prescribe me something. Some people are out there walking around that need the medicine of cannabis and its medicinal qualities, and aren't getting it. Right. I'm one of those guys that maybe needs fucking, aspirin 300 every single day, and I'm not taking it because I haven't, discovered it.
You're like,
or I'm not going to look for it. But there are people out there that probably need it, that don't even know they need it, or probably need it, just don't have access to it.
For sure. Here's another one, though. If they're addicted to opiates, would you say that's better for them to take?
Oh, absolutely. I'll personally say cannabis is 100% better than opiates any day of the week. Is your asshole going to fall out from, I think Zig that called in and said, is your asshole going to fall out from smoking cannabis? Because that might happen with some of these other drugs on the market being offered from Big Pharma, This is all very true. You get 8 minutes of disclaimers after you talk about using one of these drugs.
I have to say, on the whole opiate addiction and just addiction in general, I think is a marijuana. Yeah, you can say it's a crutch and all this kind of stuff, but honestly, man, I don't see that. I see it as it being, maybe a marijuana maintenance program in order to get your brain kind of firing on all cylinders again, to kind of get you back at, you know what I mean? So. Well,
and there's this misconception too, like, what? You can get your brain firing on all cylinders by smoking pot and getting stoned? It doesn't just do that. Like, I get frustrated with that stigma, because it doesn't just get you stoned and couch lock, and I don't want to do anything but sit here and munch and watch Family Guy. Like, that's not all that happens, right? Sometimes there are certain strains out there that have proven medicinal qualities per strain that can actually do some of those opposite effects that actually get me up and going in the morning. Green crack, super lemon haze,
the sativas,
Jack Herrera. I mean, all these things kind of get me going. So I hate that stigma too. I'm glad that there are some companies that are getting hip to this and they're offering strain specific products. Mm-hmm. Have you seen some of that?
I have.
So I know TerpHouse offers 6-8 different strains.
Yeah, 6.
That are specific to your medical ailments. Bunch of athletes are using some of these strains because they're good for their post-workout, things like that. So people are actually using them for what they're for. And then there's a couple other companies out there that are doing strain-specific, even edibles and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know a few companies got strain-specific mono oil. They got strain-specific chocolates, all kinds of everything. Yeah. That's the wave of the future, is going strain specific, because
they're testing per batch now anyway, right?
Yeah.
So wouldn't you have to? I mean, and it's frustrating, I think, for some people out there that are buying concentrates, because you buy from the same company, you don't know what you're getting next unless they have stringent quality standards. You don't know what you're going to get next. You know what I mean? And that's why I like the Show Me Your Terps campaign, which we'll plug absolutely on Friday on the next show. But we'll talk more about Show Me Your Terps. We'll talk more about cannabis here on the Cannabis Couch, as we always do on Kaotic Radio. See ya!